This is the Stormy Willow Podcast, a lighthearted, balanced examination of the paranormal.
Hello, Brood. It's your favorite paranormal podcasting sisters here. I'm Sarah, along with my smart, intelligent, beautiful sister, Adele. Hello, Adele.
Hello.
Man, we've spent like an hour troubleshooting, so you don't get to see our beautiful faces today.
Yeah, and Mercury retrograde is over, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know either, but I mean, we rearranged, and I was so excited to record in the new studio, and like all hell broke loose. So we don't know if it's me, Zoom, or the powers that be. So we're having to record via phone. So here we go.
This will add to the authenticity of the show.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm so excited because, like, in the studio now, I'm like in this little nook with all my Halloweenies, and it's just so cozy. And I was really excited to record, but like we lost like the power cord to my laptop. It's just, I don't know. It's just been wild. So we're just gonna roll with it.
Maybe you pissed off the spirits, moving stuff around.
I guess I pissed off the spirit. I don't know what I've done, but it's just, I don't know. We're just gonna improvise, guys.
Well,
oh man. Well, speaking of improvising, I have a really fun story or booger news for you guys today.
okay, I love the booger news.
Yeah, well, have you heard about this New York City to Dublin portal?
Oh yes, I have been seeing a bit about this on TikTok. I think it's really top-notch trolling personally, but yes. Please do tell.
Okay, so if you guys are not familiar here with this, it's an art project, which is really cool, where it's basically it's this like portal where you can like live streams. Like if you're in New York City, you could go to this portal and be live streamed to Dublin, and so like the people in Dublin can see you, and then you can connect and all of this stuff. But in true nature of humans, they've had to take the portal down for bad behavior.
Like right off the bat.
Right off the bat. So like people are like mooning each other. Some guy showed a picture of 9/11, and then I think they said some person showed a picture of potatoes. It's horrible. And so you'll be glad to know that the portal is back up, and somehow they have censored it. So if there's like any, I think, profanity or any like stuff detected, that it automatically like stops the live feed somehow. So I mean, like, what a great idea to be able to connect, but man, like, pretty bad. They had to take it down like immediately because we just don't know how to behave in the world, I guess.
This is why we can't have nice things. Yep.
This is why we can't have nice things. Because I'm like, I think it's such a cool art project, you know, to be connected to the world, but we just can't have nice things. So yeah, it's already been taken back down, like Adele, you said, like absolutely, like immediately, and then and now like they're gonna have constant security at the one in New York, kind of watching people, and same in Dublin, so that you know, just kind of watch how people act. But they are set to stay in place into the fall, and so hopefully, you know, we will be able to keep this and communicate with each other nicely.
We shall certainly see.
So yeah. So I mean, but I wonder if they've had I love how me and you can even handle Zoom. Like, I wonder how they're handling that technology. You know, it's sad they didn't have to take it down for technology. They had to take it down for poor behavior.
Yeah, what freaking internet provider are they using?
That's what I want to know. that's the real thing. It's like, what are you guys using? Because we're just struggling. We're on the struggle bus over here at Stormy Willow.
Yeah, seriously. Jeez.
I know. And so Adele, the first thing she's like, I don't think that Mercury's in retrograde, and it's not. So we weren't really expecting this curveball, but I do have your forecast this for this coming week from our friends at Cafe Astrology. And so,
Ooh, love to
so
hear
this
it.
past week, oh yeah, so this past week on May 7th, we have we're in a new sign of Taurus, which is promoting new beginnings. So you may have felt a fresh start or an awakening to kind of take charge and make you feel more secure and comfortable, and kind of reevaluating your relationships with money and possessions and whatnot, reconnecting with nature, all of that good stuff we kind of talked about last week. I did not feel that at all last week. I actually had a Mercury retrograde week, so I missed out on this somehow, some way. But you may have also felt some challenges as well, with like follow through on some projects, or maybe some things that you started but didn't fully complete. So you might have kind of be finding yourself completing projects. Like me, we did a complete home rearrange situation. I've lost, my internet, or my internet, my computer charger. So I'm definitely feeling all of that. Of just, that craziness that projects can end up being. But this week, we've got a full moon coming in on May 23rd in the sign of Sagittarius. And so this lunation is going to remind us to reach out beyond our usual routines and thought patterns. And this full moon is a really good time to think of expansion. We should be especially aware of what we'd like to promote at this time, kind of put aside all of our minds, that those things that don't serve us well. And so just, it's again just kind of a time to really, things that don't serve us, letting go. It's a good purging time. And so you're also going to find that this full moon is going to actually heighten our good luck and goodwill. So that's always nice to have on our side. And then we've got Mercury in Taurus, which just started on May 15th, and it's going to remain there till June 3rd. And so when Mercury is in Taurus, you might start feeling a little more down to earth and grounded. So it's a really good time to kind of get in nature and just really just do the things that make you feel grounded and connected to the universe. And then Sun is going to be in Gemini starting on May the 20th. It's going to remain there until June 20th. And so that Gemini energy is going to really help us to be more sociable and intellectual. It's also going to be a time where our energies are kind of going to be like, you might be curious or aware of some options that you didn't really see before. So that can be interesting. The one downside, though, to this is that, even though you're going to feel quick-witted and cheerful and observing things you may not have observed in the past, you really want to keep it in check, because sometimes it can make you a little gossipy or a little too know-it-all kind of person, and nobody wants to be around that. So even though you might be feeling this enlightenment, just kind of keep it in check. You don't want to be that person that's like, oh, she just knows everything, doesn't she? So just kind of keep that in check. But I don't think it's a bad forecast at all. Remember to charge those rocks. If you do moon water, it might be a good time to let that moon water kind of get nice and fermented in the full moon illumination. And it's just going to be a really good time to really just kind of see what that illumination signs in your life. There might be something that was there the whole time that you didn't see clearly that you will during this full moon. So maybe take notes, do some journaling, and see what manifests for you.
Very interesting. Potential
Yeah,
realizations, I guess.
absolutely. And hopefully, it wasn't in my sign to have a rough week last week, but I really have. So I hope that I'm more on track with this forecast because I just had a rough week. I'm just feeling all the feels. So I hope that I will feel illuminated in a good way this week. I'm ready for it.
Yeah,
And
let's
maybe
bring
the moon will illuminate and help me find my damn charger.
seriously. And it's like
That would be nice. I could see your face.
I was like, wow, it sounds like you're out in the field today to make a report.
Right, right. It's like I'm out in the field. I'm out here reporting live
Standing in a field.
in the chaos that is my home. Oh, but yeah, that's what I've got for you guys. So, hey, if you do have any trips planned to New York or Dublin and you do this portal, please take a video or like shout out for me below with something positive and sweet. I would love to see this. I think it's such a great art project. I love it, the connecting of other places in the world. So, if you've got a trip to New York planned or Dublin, make sure you go to the portal and tell us about it. I think it seems really cool.
Yeah, I think it seems pretty fun.
Me too, but just behave. Don't be bad.
You can be a little bad, but come on. Maybe no Twin Towers.
Yeah,
Imagery. Like
yeah.
that.
Like, come on now.
Come on. We can all have a
Not
little bit
nice.
of good
We're
fun.
dealing with quite a lot right now in America. We don't need that right now. Stressful time in the States.
Let's just all say have a Guinness. How's that?
Let's just all have a Guinness and calm down.
Yeah, cheers.
Yes, salon Oh my goodness. Well, Adele, I can't wait to hear a story from you, and I hate I can't see your sweet face. So I'm here in my little Halloween look, and I am ready for a good story to start my week.
All right. Well, um, if you listen to the last episode, I landed on in Titty. That's for Fortune Feimster and her charcuterie. Um, uh,
Oh, Fortune. We got to get Fortune on the show.
seriously, that'd be awesome. Uh,
Yeah, it would.
Whenever I think of entities, I always think of shadow people.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's exactly what I covered today is shadow people.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. And before we hop into what the heck these things are, I'd like to thank my sources. An open AI chat GPT
Oh,
conversation.
yeah.
So I
Speaking of
just
entities,
seriously, so I did a little chat with Chat GPT for some information on shadow people. And I also referenced the Paranormal Encyclopedia, which is a handy dandy resource.
ooh,
You didn't know.
very
Um,
fancy.
Ghost Diaries, uh, and Mysterious Universe. Um,
All right, your sources.
yeah, so we have some fun sources. So we'll kind of talk about what the shadow people are, and then we have some encounters to share as well.
All right.
All right. So what do you think of when you think of shadow people? Are you familiar with what they are?
So I kind of think, well, I think of a shadow person. I guess I think of like an actual shadow, but
Yeah.
it's not really a shadow. It's like an entity that like is like a dark entity. I've not heard anything good about a shadow person ever, but
Yeah.
causing mischief.
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of tricksters, I guess, in some views. So it's kind of a Pandora's box, honestly. Like it's so loosely defined and spans so many cultures and I mean these are found globally. So kind of super high level shadow people, I would say in modern culture. They're often associated with any type of kind of like paranormal encounter. So they're kind of like these humanoid, dark figures that you see that literally look like shadows. But
Right.
Sometimes they're interactive, and they clearly are not shadows. So they commonly also evoke some feelings of fear and dread. So these are kind of usually seen as not so good kind of beings.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you'll see them more out of your peripheral vision or maybe in low light settings, not necessarily like straight on. So they can be kind of creepy crawly, in my opinion. Like the way you're not sure if you're seeing them or not. It's almost like they're driving you crazy. Like you start to question,
Yeah, like they're
like,
playing tricks on you.
am I really seeing this or not? And they really
Mm.
are viewed on a spectrum, I would say, as far as like malevolent. Like I said, some view them more as like tricksters. Others say they're really bad news, very negative energy.
And
Um,
haven't they been like going back to like you're probably gonna get into this, like they even go back like to like Native American times, right? Like aren't there like pictures or different things like that of shadow people?
yeah,
So it's
so
not like a new phenomenon.
right, so they do appear in Native American legends, and some say maybe even skinwalkers are one and the same as shadow people.
Yeah, I could see where you could get some Skinwalker vibes.
Yeah, because it's almost like, is that a form of a skinwalker, or is that what a skinwalker actually is? They're very mysterious. Um,
Yeah, they are.
but yeah, so they do appear in Native American legends. They also appear in European folklore. In Europe, they're often associated with malevolent entities like demons or ghosts, so they're more spooky. Um, I would say they're kind of the classic kind of specter. They're often like lurking in forests and graveyards and other creepy places.
Ooh.
And there's tons of stories of shadowy figures haunting old castles or wandering misty moors. Very European, right?
I love that.
Um, you even see them in Japanese mythology. There's a belief in the Kage Onna, the Shadow Woman. Maybe sisters with the
Ooh.
Ukasaki Onna. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
and these are usually ghostly apparitions of women that appear as dark, shadowy figures. So that's right on with the description of shadow person.
Yeah, it is.
And in Japanese mythology, they're often associated with tragic tales or untimely deaths. And they're said to bring misfortune. So there's almost like that bad omen, almost like a banshee or something. That one.
Mm.
And they also appear in African legends too. So across various African
Wow.
cultures, there are stories of shadowy beings or spirits as well. So these things definitely have been
Mm.
around for a long time and definitely are global. Um,
Yeah, they are.
but then one question is, where on earth do they come from? Obviously it's kind of hard to study shadow people since you can't really catch one, or at least nobody has today. So
Not
it's
even
kind
that.
of hard to know, but there's kind of general thoughts on where these entities might come from. Some believe they're just from like a different dimension. So maybe it's like the fourth dimensional being, or who knows. Um,
Oh
some
god.
even, yeah, some even believe that they could be time travelers, I think is kind of a more fringe one. But
Ooh, I like that one. Let's
yeah,
go with that. But I wouldn't get time travel or be so sinister.
right. It almost makes me think of Quantum Leap, except he's not carnating. It's like, are you coming back looking for something to fix? Like, um, and then some, I think personally this kind of resonates with me, and we can talk about what we think at the end. But they may be formed from lingering emotions, traumatic events, or even psychic imprints, and maybe that like manifests these
Ooh,
entities. Um,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I've kind of heard that before, even with like poltergeist activity. Like maybe it's manifested, or maybe there's a psychic individual manifesting this kind of stuff, and they're unaware of it. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah, and then that led me to the next question of, well, okay, if they're here, what do they want? And of course, there's a whole spectrum of answers to that as well. I was kind of surprised at how loosely shadow people are defined, actually, once I got more into this research. Um, so some say they're motivated by like fear and negative energy. Um, it suggests that they maybe feed off of negative emotions such as fear and anxiety or even despair. And then in this view, shadow figures may be intended to instill fear in humans, thereby generating this kind of energy to feed on. Um, I don't know. It definitely seems like they can be negative, at least on like the dead files. I know Amy Allen is super creeped out by these usually.
Yes, he is. You're right. I forgot about that.
Um, and
People that don't lock up their close their portals, man.
yeah, so I mean, even if they are tricksters, they sound like kind of not so nice tricksters. You know, it's not just like fun and
Yeah.
games, it's kind of even more sinister than that. Um, and some say that they want your attention or recognition, so they may seek acknowledgement from humans, to some people. And according to this perspective, encounters with shadowy entities may be a way of for them to make their presence known. I don't know what they benefit from getting your attention. Like, I'm sure that's not their entire existence, but some people think that that's what they want is attention.
Hmm.
Others, I
Like
think,
they want your bad attention. They don't want your goodness.
yeah, it's just like, why would they give a shit if you paid them attention? But I guess that's the whole point of revealing themselves. I don't know.
Maybe that's the only way they can live.
Yeah, it's like, do they not exist unless you acknowledge their existence? I don't know. That can get kind
Yeah.
of trippy,
That's like,
right?
but it's like, I don't think, and maybe you'll get into it, but like, you can't really have a conversation with a shadow person, right? So, like, you don't really know.
Yeah, I think that's the weirdest thing. It's just like we'll get into some of the encounters, see what we think. Um, Others think they're trying to like influence or manipulate, and that's kind of the more of the vibe I get based on encounters because I watch all that paranormal stuff. Like you name it,
Oh,
I
we
watch it. So like yes, I have seen so many
know.
little cheesy shows about encounters like this, and they do seem more sinister to me based on those.
Yeah.
Um, so some people think that the shadow people may attempt to influence or manipulate human behavior or emotions, and that could
Mm.
like, you know, who knows what they do, like maybe making you feel, like I said, like you're going kind of crazy, you know, even like disturbing your sleep and just sense of ease. Like they can definitely
Mm.
manipulate how you feel. Others see them as even guardians or protectors, which is really funny. I'm not even joking. I was on TikTok last night and one lady, one of the few people I ever hear saying this, she's like, I think they just want to interact with you. Everybody else is like, no, never interact with them. Which we'll get into like what we think we should do, you know, what you should do if you encounter them. But I don't know. Some people I think maybe view them more as guardians or protectors. Um, but I'm not so sure if I would necessarily talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the others are kind of similar along the lines of, you know, maybe it's like trauma related there again. I would say over to negative emotions, I would say is a commonality. It gets a little more granular depending on who you talk to. Like I said, like,
Right.
is it the chicken or the egg? Is it maybe a psychic person creating these, or these things maybe creating a psychic connection you didn't know you had before? Who knows?
Mhm.
Um, but I say we jump right into encounters to try to get a feel
Yeah.
for, you know, what if what the vibe is with these entities.
Feel it.
All right, so the first encounter we have is called a Shadow Man encounter, and this was on liveabout.com. Um, so here we go. Michael W. tells us of his close encounter in the fall of 1998. It has many typical characteristics, including that his perceptions happened when he awoke during the night. So it almost sounds like a night hag, even, or
Mm-hmm.
the hag, you know. He had just purchased a home and spent the day painting it before moving in. I think that's interesting because of fumes, but let's hear more.
Like, we do not like this color. No, sir.
This is mauve. We hate you. This
Don't mess with this color. It's vintage.
uh
Ruin our home.
yeah, well, I was also just thinking maybe he didn't like have a window open and got kind of high on the fumes.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no.
so okay, so he had just painted and moved into this new place, and his friends left for the night, but he decided to sleep in a beanbag chair. He awoke in the middle of the
Okay.
night, feeling thirsty, and went to the dark kitchen for a glass of water. That's when I got a distinct feeling that someone was watching me. There at the top of the basement stairs, creepy, and in front of the light switch, I could distinctly make out the figure of what I automatically assumed was my good friend Larry. He called
Oh.
out to the figure, which didn't respond. I was still absolutely convinced that I was looking at a living person. Yikes, that's even creepier to me. My guard went up with
Yeah.
the dangerous possibilities of who it could be. He took out his pocket knife in case he needed to defend himself. Then, in an instant, the shadow moved forward in my direction. I lunged forward with the knife extended outward. I saw the shadow move into my arm, as if deliberately trying to impale itself on my weapon, and it kept on coming.
Oh.
Yikes! He screamed, and the entity continued straight through his body. I spun around in a circular motion 180 degrees. I saw the shadow moving at an almost leisurely pace away from me. It proceeded through the large kitchen into the adjoining dining room, and finally through the wall that would have led outside if it were a door. He finally turned on the light switch. Wide awake now, he searched the house, found nothing, and evacuated to his old apartment for the rest of the night. He never had a...
Oh.
That's really sad. That sucks. Um,
Awful.
he never had a repeat of that encounter while living in the house. Of note, he said,
Wow.
yeah, that's weird. Of note, he said he wondered whether he was thirsty due to the paint fumes. Okay. A rational explanation would be that those could have been an influence, as well as an episode of a hallucination associated with sleep paralysis. He wondered if it might be associated with the address ending in 666 and that the house was aligned with magnetic north. I don't know. That one's interesting
I don't
because
know either.
there are so many confounds, I guess, that could, you know what I mean? Like there was painting and the fumes. It's hard to say,
Right.
right?
I just think it's interesting that he never saw it again.
Yeah, that's pretty odd.
You
Maybe,
know, like, did it just want to make its presence known and that's it? Or was it just a complete hallucination because of, like, the paint fumes, the exhaustion? It's hard to say.
yeah.
But I mean, that's some hallucination. Like, that's, oh.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of, we'll see that kind of interaction, I guess, because it's almost like they interact with you to a point, but not really.
Yeah.
It's just kind of odd. Like I can't tell if shadow people are I can't tell if it's that they're un if that they're like aware of us or if we're just like inconsequential. I can't really tell how aware of us
It's
they
hard to
are,
say. And
right?
it's what was, all right, let's say it really was a shadow person. Like, what was the point of that encounter?
Right. It's almost like he was just passing through, but then like the weird knife part. But then again, if someone pulls a knife out on you, I don't know. That was just a weird reaction.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I just don't know. Or like, unless it was like leftover energy from what was there. Like, he's painting, bringing new energy in. Like, maybe it was like leftover energy, but I would think it would still stay there. Like, I would think he would have more than just the one encounter. But I don't know. Like, it's interesting. I'm surprised he went back and never had an experience again. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
which
Um,
makes me feel like it was a hallucination.
yeah. I mean, or like extreme exhaustion even. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That
But
it's
I've been
odd.
extremely exhausted. I don't ever remember like hallucinating like that.
Yeah, like I
I don't
have
know,
no
guys. This thing
idea.
seems to be dangerous.
Maybe he was overly dehydrated. Like
That's
seriously.
true too. I mean, maybe there was a lot of factors, you know.
Exactly. I think there are too many factors in that one that we can't cleanly say. But it is still is
I mean, I would
horrifying.
just think that like totally terrifying, but I would think if it was a shadow person, it would come back to try to feed off of him or
Yeah.
his negativity or something. Unless he just came back and he was just too positive, and I'm like, damn it, we can't
Yeah.
make him scared or sad.
He got rested up, so now he's
Oh,
too strong. I'm just gonna leave.
he's too peppy. They're like, damn it.
We were gonna get him from the start, make him sleepy forever. It didn't happen. The next.
Yeah, they're like, he's just too much of a positive patty for us. Absolutely not.
Um, and then we have a few more. So I just looked up, shadow people encounters, and Quora.com actually had kind of like a board with a few encounters. So these are all from
Okay.
Quora.com. And the thread was, have you ever had an experience with shadow people? And the first one is Pat, who was a former paratransit operator, and this was posted 2 years ago. Yes, I have had experiences with shadow people, and not only them, but also shadow animals. These have,
Oh, I've never heard of a shadow animal.
I haven't either. And Pat says these have occurred in my home. One day when I was working, I had a break, and since I was in the area of my home, I stopped to make a quick sandwich for breakfast of scrambled eggs. Sounds delicious. As
Yeah.
I was cooking, I saw someone walking down the hall towards my bedroom. I had the feeling he was wearing Western clothes, boots, and a cowboy hat. I didn't think much about
Okay.
it until it occurred to me that I was alone in my home at the time. It didn't scare me or anything, but that's probably because I have had other strange things happen and still do at times. Okay. Since life and love are eternal, love would never separate you from the people that you love, or it wouldn't be love. Death is just a transition into another form. Your physical body is cast off just like getting rid of an old piece of clothing that's no longer needed. Therefore, even though many people aren't aware of it, their loved ones are still with them and aware of what is happening in their lives. Shadow people and pets are a manifestation, as are ghosts, of that, and certainly nothing to be afraid of simply because they love you as you love them. I'm sure that you would know their name and who they are by your thinking of them or your sensing of who it is with you at the time. Sometimes you just know who is there with you. So Pat thinks it's maybe visitations. It sounds like from loved ones.
Okay.
And this definitely
But
does
see,
not
I
sound like
think
a
that's
scary.
more, yeah, that was my thing. It's like, I feel like that's more of like an apparition versus, I was like, the true definition of the shadow person is that it feeds off of negativity. So I wouldn't think it would be somebody that had your best interest at heart if they were a
Yeah.
shadow person. You know what I mean?
And it sounds also like this one had a cowboy outfit on. I haven't whenever I think of shadow people, I think of them in like a black unitard, pretty much.
Like Dayman,
Yeah, just like
like Mac.
Dayman, but all black.
I was cat eyes.
Yeah.
I think about, you know what I think about? Okay, so when I think of shadow people, I think about the movie Ghost and like the evil guy in the movie,
The little
like Phil
things that come out
Patrick
of the
Swayze, you
shadow,
know?
the little like
Yeah, like that's what I think of with the shadow person.
they come out and get Prospect Place, Willie. Hmm.
Yes.
Willie Lopez.
That's what
Prospect
I
Place,
think of
Willie.
Willie Lopez.
Okay.
That's what I see. All right, and if you want to put that for the cover art,
That would be amazing. I might have to try
so
it, but
that's
I'm
what
gonna
I
try to
think
put
of.
your face
Like,
getting carted off by those things.
okay, you go for it. um, but my thing is though, or is it that we misunderstand the shadow people, and maybe Pat knows what's up with the shadow people? It's just like we're all wrong.
Right? It's like,
I don't know.
are we just afraid of them, but they actually don't mean us harm? I don't know.
Right.
It sounds like her interactions are not bad. Okay, or maybe if they
No,
are
like her
manifestations,
interactions just sound lovely.
but it also sounds like manifestation of her energy. Like, I wonder if it's her.
Maybe like maybe. This
Maybe
is such
she's
a
manifesting these things. I don't know.
yeah. I
Thus
don't know
far,
either,
two very different stories, right? But they're all still saying these are the same entities.
but just very different experiences.
So I guess what I'm saying, paranormal community, is we need to like tighten up this definition.
Yeah,
Is
this is a
I'm just
very
putting that
loose
out there.
definition. This is too
It's
gray.
it's very loosey goosey, and I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, me either. I need some parameters.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a
Like there's
catch-all.
just I need boxes to check, and there's just too many boxes here.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if Bill Robson has anything to add that might have a commonality.
All
And
right, Bill,
Bill,
here's your story.
you got credit to your former Air Force intelligence officer. You're a Gulf War veteran, and you posted this
Okay,
years ago. We know you aren't afraid, Bill. So
Bill knows some shit.
Bill knows what's up. He's not afraid of shit.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, Bill.
Billy. I had an experience with the Shadow Man, whom I believe was my grandfather. Read
Okay.
my story under this image, blah, blah, blah. The man I saw was much more clear, and I saw details of his clothing. The edges of his body had light falling into him. The chest, legs, arms, and face, and his hat were like an opening in our universe, like a hole. It was clear.
Ooh,
I'm having a hard time
I don't
imagining
know
what
what
that
a
looks
shadow
like.
person.
It was clear he came from some other realm. He was a living being. Interesting. Okay. I was in my 20s and asleep. I got up to use the bathroom. As I walked into the hallway, I glanced into the living room, which was very dark because of the lights were off. I saw an image of a man sitting on the couch. I was shocked. The man or ghost was all black beyond any black I've ever seen in my life. To this day, and I'm now 66. The man was like a living
Yeah.
black hole. And that's interesting. I have heard
Oh.
other millions of paranormal shows. Some witnesses do describe them as that, like the blackest black they've ever seen. It's not so much the color black, but like it's sucking the color out of
The feeling.
everything. It really is more like a black
Wow.
hole. So that's consistent with what
Hmm.
I've heard in other accounts. Around the edges of his body, light was falling into him. He had a boundary around his body that was pulling in light. He was like a negative photograph. He stood up. I was
Oh.
able to make out details. He had on a brimmed hat that was the common style in the 1940s to 1960s. I can make out the sleeves of a sports jacket and the cuffs of trousers and sleeves. He
Hmm.
walked toward our kitchen and I saw his arm swing and his stride. I flipped on the lights and he was gone. This happened two other times years later. Same. Black hole or shadow man again. He was not a physical being. It was like he was from another dimension. I believe this ghost was my grandfather. Several years later, I saw him again. I was taking a nap upstairs, and my wife was downstairs watching TV. I felt something touch my foot. When I opened my eyes, I saw a black figure near my feet. I was terrified. I tried to rationalize that perhaps it was my wife playing a trick on me. There's always that possibility. Um,
Always.
I got up and he went down the stairs fast. I saw he was wearing a brimmed hat that was in the fashion many years ago. I ran down the stairs. My wife looked at me. I asked, "Where is he?" She said, "Who?" I said, "The man that came down the stairs." She did not know what I was talking about. Then I remembered I had seen him years before. I was shocked he followed me to another location. Okay, so there again, I think with him and Pat, right? It seems like it's them, not so much the shadow people or location where they are,
Yeah,
essentially.
that's true.
Um, he goes on to say, I don't feel he was there to harm me. I believe he was my grandfather whom I missed. I do believe there are angels, demons, ghosts, living orbs, UFOs, and many things that science can't explain yet. Our physical world is not everything. Only recently has science recognized dark energy and dark matter.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. And I mean, he was scared of this thing, but at the same time, that's very interesting to hear such a description of it. It does almost sound more like energy, like raw energy of some
Right.
sort. And then this is my last one. It's short but sweet. This is PJ. Um, they are a prepper of recreational vehicles, and this was posted 1 year ago.
All right. Sounds
Um,
fun.
they said have had shadow beings crossing through my bedroom at night. When they get too close, I tell them to back off and they go back to their business. They don't give off any bad
Okay.
vibes, and I don't see them all the time. They have humanoid shape, but are shadows. Have caught the shadow man with the hat in one photo, so it sounds like Hat Man is what PJ is
Yeah.
referring to, and did not know he was there. I felt creeped out after I saw it, so that is creepy. So they took the picture and then realized it after the fact that the Hat Man was in the photo. Um,
Oh.
there again, though, PJ doesn't sound like that creeped out by him. It sounds like they're kind of just there.
No. Yeah,
Interesting.
like because I'm feeling like what I know about shadow people are like they're bad news, you know? But these encounters really don't seem that bad.
Yeah, now I'm more curious than afraid. Like, yeah, I think if,
Exactly. Well, especially if it's like a loved one or like a loved an animal that you've loved or something. Like those are good things. Or do they or are they pulling like an evil in? Or they try to make you
yeah,
think they're that good thing. And then you realize like, oh shit, it's not that pet that passed or pawpaw. It's another it's like,
it's like
Skeletor.
Zozo or something.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
I just don't know.
I think that might be
I
more
have a lot
than
more questions to know.
right. Yeah, I don't think this episode's gonna help at all. Um, but let's get into some explanations and maybe even ways in
Please.
which you might be able to protect yourself if you even want to. I don't know. I'm thinking I might want to have a
Yeah,
chat with them now at this point.
me too. I'm like, sit down. Let's have a chat.
Yeah. Somebody find out what they like to drink. What kind of what's their
You,
favorite tea? Let's
you
have
want a soda? Like, what do you want? You want sweet tea?
you watching sugar? Like you want something sugar free? You want a sugar free Red Bull
Yeah.
and vodka?
Oh
All
gosh.
right.
You want a
So
Bojangles?
you want to bow? Oh, you know what? I saw some trash in the street like the other day, and I was like, "Is that a bow box?" And it wasn't. But I was like, "Oh, where did they get that?" And it wasn't.
Where's the Bojangles out here? No, you're like, it's about to be bow time.
I got way too excited about trash on the road. Um,
Guys, that's just how good Bojangles is if you've not experienced
seriously,
it. It really
you're
is.
not living if you haven't had a bow biscuit.
You're not. You've not had a biscuit if you haven't had a biscuit.
Yeah, seriously, you don't need another biscuit after that ever again. Um, that's what the shadow people are here for. They're looking for Bojangles. Just steer
We're
them.
looking for Bojangles and they're just lost. That's all.
Yeah, they're just like, I'm not in the South anymore. Where are my biscuits?
Like, wait, where are the biscuits? That's all it is. They're just confused.
Yeah. So some explanations are psychological and neurological factors, such as sleep paralysis,
Sure.
which I
Yeah.
totally get that. It does sound like some of these are more of like that hag or the night hag.
Because what, two of them, two of our encounters, we were dealing with sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah,
So fair enough. Like
except for Pat.
maybe,
Pat's making scrambled egg sandwiches over there and seeing them.
yeah, Pat was wide ass awake, so that wasn't Pat or
Yeah.
Bill. Well, Bill was taking a nap. That Bill's had multiples.
Bill was taking a nap, and then our first person was taking a nap and getting water.
Yeah. All right, but Pat's the oddball in that one.
Pat's the oddball on this one.
All right. There's also um what is this called? Hypnagogic hallucinations or hypnagogic. But pretty much
Okay.
hypnagogic means like when you're falling asleep, like that part where you're like falling asleep. Maybe you're
Okay.
hallucinating as falling asleep is kind of the idea. Possible. I mean, there again, these are both sleep related, so okay, that's one idea. And then
Makes sense.
another one is an other altered state of consciousness. I don't, maybe drug induced. I don't know like what they mean by that, but in these states, the brain may
Yeah.
produce vivid dreamlike experiences, including shadowy figures. Um,
Okay. You know, it could be also like your eyes, like adjusted to the dark or something.
yeah, so I agree there are some legitimate explanations that could explain some of these encounters, but I don't think all of them are necessarily these things. Especially ones that
Right.
like when you're not sleeping, like Pat was wide awake. I don't know. I don't know. Others, this is kind of more of like the psychic phenomena stuff. So others say they're energy or psychic phenomena. So some individuals interpret shadow people as manifestations of psychic energy, which I'm starting to, for the last several years, been a fan of this idea. And like I said, some even say that maybe this psychic phenomena is also like what creates poltergeist activity as well. So maybe it's not these
Mm.
entities, but it's the individual with psychic abilities manifesting these things.
Okay. I
Um,
like this
so
theory. I'm new to this theory.
so um yeah, so maybe it's actually the individual with psychic energy, and this could also create residual hauntings or other energetic disturbances, much like in poltergeist activity. And in this view, encounters with shadow figures may be influenced by subtle energies or vibrations in the environment rather than being caused by distinct entities. So maybe it's the individual. And
It's
I've
like
even
Pat.
heard,
Maybe
I mean, maybe we could probably cover this whole thing like a theory, but I've even heard that maybe it's not even that psychics are able to manifest these things as much as they're able to manifest the thought in everybody else's mind around them.
ooh,
So
that's
there's that
interesting
too.
theory.
And then last one, like I said, the more French one is the interdimensional travelers or time travelers. But hey, it's a thought. It's a consideration.
It is.
And then these are some high level ways to protect yourself, I guess, if you are having unwanted interactions with shadow people. Um, so one is just maintaining a positive mindset. I think this definitely
Mm.
applies to maybe those with more of the psychic abilities, it sounds like. So just cultivate like a positive mindset and focus on thoughts and emotions that bring you to those higher vibrations. Um,
I like that.
like affirmations, visualization techniques, and other mindful practices can help reinforce that positive mental attitude. So kind of like your positive rituals and things to keep you in that positive space.
It's a good
Um,
one.
Another one is to set clear intentions. So clearly communicate your intentions to protect yourself from negative energy in general. So I guess this doesn't just apply to shadow people, it's all entities. Affirm your
This is probably
boundaries.
just good advice for living
I seriously, you
in
can
2024.
do this with people too. Like affirm your boundaries and assert your right to feel safe and secure.
Yeah, I like this. This is just good life
That's just
Hacks.
good rules to live by. And surround yourself with light. This is kind of that thing again, but I think this is more of maybe even your sacred space. You're thinking about your energy as like a bubble or your aura, like that boundary that you have, and thinking of kind of being in that bubble of white light that nothing negative can enter.
I love
Um,
that.
Use protective symbols or objects too. So if you don't think like just doing it in your mind's enough, you can use actual objects. So kind of things I guess that are personal to you. So you can use symbols, you can use amulets, talismans, anything that resonates with you and is significant for you. Um, some examples would be like an evil eye symbol, crosses, pentacles, crystals, all of those things that kind of bring about this tangible thing you're trying to create.
I love
Also,
that.
yeah, and also cleansing. You know, you could cleanse your space with some smudging of sage or burning incense. I definitely love to burn incense just because.
Yeah,
Um,
always a fan.
you could even do like the sound-based techniques since we are talking about energy. You could do like the bells or like singing bowls, whatever resonates with you, really. You could also practice grounding and centering. Um, I think that's more of like probably like yoga or deep meditation and things like that.
Mhm.
And activities, even like walking barefooted in nature, gardening, or
Yes.
engaging in mindful
Kind of, it's
exercises.
kind of funny. This is kind of circling back to our forecast. Getting around it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So ultimately, finding effective protection against shadow people involves exploring different strategies and techniques to see what resonates with you the most. So, it might not be the same for each individual, but you'll find what works for you. But a lot of it is creating, I would say the common core is creating that safe, high vibration, light boundary for you to feel safe in.
Right. I love that. That's just good advice.
Yeah. And that's it on shadow people. That's all I have. Like I said, very,
Wow.
very broad. Like I
I
almost feel
mean, I
like
feel
this
like I
in
have more questions.
yeah, like I almost feel like this entity is if you don't know what it is, it's a shadow person.
But we're not real sure, Shadow.
But I don't know why. Also, like the maybe interdimensional that just because it is shadowy. So I'm like, are you even really seeing it? Or is that just a 3D thing that you can see because you can't perceive the other dimension it's actually from? Like,
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
This world is a wacky, crazy place. We only really know about 5% about the universe and can explain about 5% about the universe. we
Right. There's a
we don't know shit
ton.
about shit is all I have to say. So I have no
Yeah.
I still have no idea what these shadow people could be. Um
I think that's the best way to sum it up, really, about the shadow people. Is I don't know shit about shadow people.
yeah, we don't know shit about them.
Like I have no idea. I think they're so fascinating. I don't know that I'm as terrified of them now though
Yeah,
as
for
I initially may have been. Um, but I don't know. Like I just don't know. I have so many questions. Like I want to interact with one. I really do.
yeah, I would love to hear more stories. I mean, really that's kind of what we're left with. Like this is such a like I said catch-all entity. Uh you're kind of left with only like, well, what did everybody experience? They're obviously
Right.
widely different as well. Um, but I don't know. I guess if you get bad vibes
It's
from it, stay away. If you get good vibes from it, say hello.
yeah, there you go. Have you
Give it
guys
a
ever
spin.
had an experience with a shadow person? Like, Rude, I would love to know. I would love to hear your experiences if you've ever experienced it.
Same. Kind of like, yeah, kind of like the very first guy though. It just came out of nowhere and never showed up again. It kind of seems that you don't know when these interactions are going to happen. It's not like you conjured it
Yeah.
from like a Ouija board or
Yes.
something. It's not like a demon or like something necessarily
Or
like
maybe
sought
maybe that's the
out.
part he left out. Maybe he's like, we did play Ouija before my friends left, and
We
we
had
didn't
just
hear that
gotten
portal.
done, yeah, painting over a huge like pentagram painted in blood or something crazy.
It's like you left out the biggest part of that story. But you know, the only thing that does terrify me still about them is the fact that Amy Allen is so petrified of them. And if you've ever seen Amy Allen, like I'm a huge fan. Um, she does seem absolutely terrified. So I'm like, what is it? You know, are we talking, or are we even talking about the same thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this a whole different classification?
Yeah, or is
Because
there
it seems like
it's like, or is she so afraid of him because it's a psychic thing?
right,
And like,
or
I
are
don't
we
know.
talking even about the same entities whatsoever?
Yeah. So Amy,
You know,
what we're
like
saying is we need you on the show.
Amy, help us. Amy, help us understand.
Or
Because I
anybody
just
out
feel
there
like,
who's had an encounter, I want to
yeah,
understand more.
I just feel like I don't know, like these stories that you told did not seem terrifying. I mean, even the first one was kind of like was a little like, oh, I don't like that you ran into that knife, but it wasn't like the most terrifying thing I've ever heard. And then the other one seemed kind of lovely.
You know, I don't know. The more I think about Michael's story, first guy in 1998, I'm like, was it just like a real person? Like,
I'm like,
maybe it was
yeah,
a squatter and he scared him away. I don't know.
maybe,
Because
maybe
it's kind of like a
so.
weird, delirious knife interaction, and he could have swore the person was like real and had substance. I don't know.
It's like maybe he was real, Michael.
Maybe it was Larry, and you tried to stab him.
Like, I think maybe it was a real person in your case. And that's
Yeah,
why you never saw him again because you freaking stabbed him and he went away. I don't know.
it was just the neighbor trying to
I don't
welcome you.
know.
I don't
He was
know.
just like, hey, is it cool if I hang out? I've been living in this basement for like the last 20 years. Is it cool if I stay and you pull out a knife on him? I don't know. I don't know, Michael. Yours is the odd story. Yours is the one that doesn't. Your shape doesn't fit.
Yeah, yours is the oddball for sure.
Everybody else in chat feels safe, having a nice experience, and then here you come along. I'm thinking yours is a human experience.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say human on yours, Michael.
Michael had
Human
an
interaction.
intruder.
The
Everybody
rest
else,
of you,
though.
I'm gonna talk. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my god, that's so funny.
All right. Well,
Oh, I don't know, Ash. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I want to know more. Like, I really do want to know more about them. But it just seems to be a huge mystery in the paranormal world. But I don't know. After this, I'm not really as afraid.
Yeah, I just say
Like,
go with what you're feeling, is what
yeah.
it sounds
Like
like.
once again, I have to say the one thing I'm absolutely still terrified of is humans, and that's always the truth. So that kind of checks out for the story as well.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I'm like, on the off chance you might end up like Michael and it's just a person, and that's even more terrifying
That
than
is
an
more terrifying
entity.
to me. Yeah, so there's like a human that's living in my home that I don't know anything about. Like that is 1,000 times more terrifying to me than hanging out with the creature. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, give me
That's
the
just
shadow
me.
person any day than a stranger.
I will take
Um,
exactly.
well, I say we spin the wheel, but I guess you just have to trust
Yeah,
me.
I won't get to see it, so I'm just gonna trust that. I trust you, Adele, 100%.
All right, here we go.
Spin that wheel that I can't see.
All
But you know what?
right.
Next week is gonna be great.
You got Alien.
Here we go. Ooh,
Have you covered it?
okay.
Alien before?
I have. I feel like that it's been a
You
very
don't get
long
that one very
time.
often. All right.
I
Well,
don't get that one very often. So
no.
I love a good alien story. So I'm here for it. You guys, I gotcha.
All
So
right.
hopefully I'll be able to see you next week. Um, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Oh my gosh. And as we say here on our podcast, please stay safe, blah blah blah. Please stay safe out there, my friends. Sorry, I thought I saw a shadow person.
Oh, I see. We'll stay curious. Speaking of shadow people.
And also, speaking of shadow people, never trust the
The
living.
living. Seriously.
That was a great story, Adele. Thank you so much. And Brood, please talk to us on social. I want to know if you have any plans to go to the New York Dublin portal. And I also want to know if you experience any shadow creatures in your life,
Yeah, seriously. Especially shadow animals. I want to hear more about those.
especially shadow animals. Please, I want to know about that for sure. Yes.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. Bye, you guys.
Later.